And I want to thank everybody for checking us out tonight. Another edition of Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. Man, once again, thank you all for checking in as usual. Episode number 79. Man, we creeping closer to 100. It's hard to believe it's been 2.5 years. We've been rocking with this, and you guys couldn't have been as much supportive as that's been the best I can ask. And thank you so much. Tonight is no different. This is family to me right here. And, I always say this is family and this is my hometown. And for you guys that don't know about Pittsburgh, you all have the misconception that Pittsburgh is only a football town. You're sadly mistaken. Pittsburgh is very deep in tradition from basketball on the women's and men's side. And it's no different. And this is my guy. And as I've been out here all over the country, I can't believe how many coaches I've met that are from the Western PA area on both the men's and women's side. And I always say it with pride because once they find out you're from that area, it's like whatever you need, you got it. And this guy right here is no different. I wouldn't be where I am right now without the help of this guy pointing me in the right direction. And, he didn't have to do it, but he does it from the bottom of his heart on a regular basis. And this is my guy, my good friend, Mr. John Tate from the Western PA Bruins. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, David. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. Every year we got to have this show because we cannot go a year without propping up the Western PA Bruins tip-off, which is the biggest non-live period girls event in the country. And so for you people that are somewhat familiar with the grassroots, style of tournaments, this is Junior Run for the Roses. And so for you people that have any idea how big Run for the Roses is, let's just go and say John has built it up to it's halfway there. And that is no small feat to say it's halfway there. John, you got 430 teams this year?
Yeah, we'll top out. This last week, you always get a team or two that drops out. We've got first year. This is the first year we have a waiting list to pull from, right? We've got probably a 40 or 50 team waiting list that, if teams drop out in certain age groups, we can plug and play right away. But, we're at 430. We've got the whole convention center this year, which allows us to keep everybody on site, which is really important for us because we just feel like that's the optimal experience for our attendees is when everybody's on site for all 2.5 days. And so last year there was another event going on in the center, so we didn't have the whole center. We had to send some people off site on Sunday, and the tournament was still ran well. Still had a lot of compliments, things along those lines. But from a management and execution standpoint, it just becomes very hard when you have to have staff and things leave site. You kind of lose control over things. And so, my guy Zach, who does my scheduling, I said, Zach, I got 40 courts. I don't want to leave the center. You let me know how many teams I can take. And I got the 415. I got a little nervous. He said, no, you can still take a few more. I got the 420. I called him. You got a few more. So we were at 430. He finally told me no. We had some people reach out over the weekend. He told some people reached out. I called him. He said, I think we're about done. But put them on a waiting list. You always have a couple people drop out. So we've added almost 40 teams to the waiting list since Saturday afternoon. Which I'm honored by, right? But I also always want to ask people, like, why'd you wait so long? Like, that I kind of want that answer as well. That kind of baffles me. But we're excited, man. Should be a really good turnout in terms of just the quality of play. We think it's going to be really high level, and I'm really looking forward to it. You spend so much time working on it. It blows my mind now that we're only we're less than 2 weeks away.
You know what, man? Last year was my first year coming, man, and just as I walked to the convention center, man, and the support you have from Mayor Ed Gainey to now, I say this with no shame. As I walked in to see somebody I know doing this, it was a pride thing as I walked in because, you you know my journey on this as, being one of the evaluators, and, you showing me love of bringing me with the, other top evaluators as well. But man, it's the who's who. A lot of people tend to think, oh, it's non-live period. But man, you got EYBL teams there. You got Under Armour teams there. You got some of the top independent teams there. You got some of the top Adidas teams there. And now it's to the point, well, you have to have it live stream, because the D1 folks that can't come, unfortunately, they're going to be tuned in on the live stream. But the D2s and NAIs is out there trying to eat because they don't even have to fight with the D1 coaches.
We get a nice turnout, man, of D2s, D3s, NAIAs. We probably had 60 or 70 come through last year. And then, probably another 25 or 30 purchased the live stream. And, for, the original thing you said about the support from the city, man, you don't get here by yourself, right? And, every time somebody asks me, well, how'd you do this? First of all, I've got an amazing wife, right? My wife gives up, her life from January through the first middle of April. We can't, my whole evenings and weekends are tied around getting this thing kicked off, right? And getting through the finish line of this. So that I'm thankful for her, number one. Number two, I've got, a great staff in place. Alicia Johnson, Robert Cash, Paul Zeiss, Spencer Stefko, Brian Murray, Dawn Johnson, who does my officials, Zach Park, who does my schedule. None of this happens without them. You know what I mean? And then thirdly, it would really probably helped us take it, a next level, right? Where now people talk about it as one of the best tournaments in the country. Jennifer Hawkins from Sports Pittsburgh took a chance, right? When the rumor was out, well, this guy, these Western PA Bruins, this guy, John Tate, he's bringing in 150, 200 teams spread all over the city in the weekend. In April, who is this guy? She called me, met with me, and she asked me, if you got the convention center, what could you do? And I said, I have no idea. I've never thought about being in the convention center. You know what I mean? And her and that Visit Pittsburgh staff, the Sports Pittsburgh team, the Sports and Exhibition Authority, they have really helped us, go from basketball guys, right? Because that's all we really were, to now being what we like to consider ourselves really high-level event operators. Because when you've got 430 teams, you've got teams flying in from the West Coast, teams flying in from Tennessee, teams flying in from Georgia, things have got to be run smoothly. Because if they're not, you never get them back, and it becomes a stain on the event. So we work our tails off to run a high-level event. But it's been people that have supported us and believed in us when they really didn't have a reason to. That's why we sit here where we are in 2024.
Absolutely, man. And, like I said, it's even going to be bigger than last year. Like you said, you had half of the convention center, and I was still in awe with what I saw. I mean, it was just so many people, so many vendors. It was every bit the Run for the Roses for you hoop heads that have had the chance to go to Run for the Roses. It's on that level. And what that does for the city of Pittsburgh, not only does it prop up this man, it props up the city as well, because he has downtown rocking.
Yeah, we get a report from Visit Pittsburgh, Sports Pittsburgh, at some point in time, several months after the event, when they run their numbers and things along those lines. And we're generating, our event generates somewhere in the $5 to $6 million range, for the city. And so, that's my hometown, man. And so anytime I can help, bolster that the hometown, make that name ring out in a positive fashion, it's an honor for me to do so.
Absolutely. And, once I got word of, what this was, and, I quickly reached out to you and was like, hey, man, whatever I can do, because like you said, one of the pride things of, and it's been like this since we've been in high school, all of us could go to different high schools and be fierce rivals. But when it gets to city, state time, and that team that represents Western PA moves on to Hershey, you got the whole town on your back supporting.
Correct.
And
100% correct.
and this is no different. This is no different. You know, like I said, once I got wind of what it was, I was like, hey, man, listen, I'm there, whatever I can do to help. And, you know, it's not like you needed that help, but it was just, man, it's just to let you know, listen, I support this because this is big, man. And, you know, number two, it's his hometown, number two, that. But I just look at this like, you still, it's just even crazier to say, you still have even more room to grow because you've pretty much locked down the East Coast and the South. The Midwest and the West are starting to come because you got some great teams from Michigan, Indiana, and some of the other Midwest states. It's now trying to get those West Coast teams. It's like, I want to do it, but you know, now they're complaining, oh, you know, it's a long way, school's
Right.
still in.
So we got our first team out of Chicago this year, team M14, who's really, really good out of Chicagoland. They're coming in. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. They've got multiple Power 5 kids, including the top 5 kid in the country. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them play. We got our first West Coast team, FBC, West Coast 17U. I'm really looking forward to seeing them play. And I understand the challenges, right, of those West Coast teams, Texas teams coming here the week before a live period. You know, if we had talks with 2 Nike California teams called me in the winter and they said, man, John, we really like to come play. The challenge is we have to then turn around and get the boo that following Thursday. Yeah. So are we keeping our kids out of school for a week? Are we flying? Are we asking parents and families to fly back and forth? So, you know, they've tried to figure they have tried to figure that out, and I appreciate that. So we haven't gotten that part of it figured out yet. But, you know, sometimes we understand that, you know, money, you know, with families and these clubs, as somebody who runs a club, I understand you're going to go to your parents for so much, right? You have to be able to be prepared to say no to some things. But, you know, we really like the path that we're on and where we're at, and we know we're doing a good thing because now competition's popping up, right?
Oh yeah,
You know, now you've got, you know, an event that kicked off this year in Philadelphia, an event that kicked off this year in I want to say somewhere in the Midwest that ended up falling through, and we got several of those teams. So, you know, they say, you know, imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery. So, you know, we're walking around extremely flattered right now. But, you know, we just want to put on a good show, man. I'm really excited about the talents when they come in the building next week.
And speaking of talent, man, let's touch on that for a little bit, man. You know, I remember last year because of course, I want to get on the main courts and see some of the good talent, but any evaluator that's worth their salt, you want to go see some of them independent teams that you've never seen before. And you say, man, who's this? And, you know, and a lot of those young ladies end up having a good showing and their stock rises straight out of your event going into other tournaments. So when I see them at Run for the Roses, or if I see them in Heart of Texas, or if I see them at Inside Exposure, or if I see them down at SummerSlam down in Atlanta or Basketball Bayou, I already know who this person is. Or I'm telling coaches, hey, I saw this young lady at Run for the Roses, and I didn't know who she was, and now she's gotten a name. And next thing you know, bam, she's getting D1 offers.
Right. It's definitely a place that, you know, people can make a name for themselves or get on you know, college coaches' radar or people or evaluators like yourselves' radar. You know, we'll have 3 McDonald's All-American voters in attendance. We'll have, you know, all the major scouting services, Blue Star, yourself, LBI, ASGR, you know, Premier Hoops, Insider Exposure. You know, we're really happy this year. We've got John Lucas Enterprises.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, so she LaQuinta's coming up to evaluate and look at people to you know, for invitations to their elite camp, to the camp back in the summer. So we're really happy about that. So again, and with that, it's all about opportunities, man. You and I have talked, ad nauseum about what this game has done for me, personally, and so for so many others, and it's just really a way of giving back. And the more that we can, the better event that we run, the more people like you and these national evaluators, these McDonald's All-American voters want to come and be a part of it. It just really provides more opportunities for the young ladies that participate.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. The young lady from Michigan Storm, and they're a great program. Man, I had no idea who the young lady was. Oh gosh, I saw her at your event, 6'3". She ended up signing with Louisville.
Yeah, don't. When you get to be my age, the names, the names don't stay with me too long. But I know exactly who you're talking about because I know Jeff Taylor, who runs Michigan, who runs the Michigan Storm. He's been supporting of our event for a number of years, and he and I talked about how her playing well at our event last year really was a springboard for her having a great spring and summer. It opened a lot of doors for her. So I hear that story a lot. I can speak to it from the young ladies that play in our program, right? They play well, and next thing you know, they go from, oh yeah, I've heard about that kid, to, oh no, that's that kid that they were talking about, saw her play here, and it just really opens doors and provides opportunities. And that's really what it's all about, man. Providing opportunities. The game's been so much of a blessing to me that if I can provide that opportunity for a blessing to somebody else, then I'm here for that.
And man, just a quick side note, to speak on one of your kids that her stock has risen, London. Man, London stock is taking off.
London. I'm just a big London Creech fan, man. And when she got hurt, in the high school playoffs, I was as crushed as I've been for any. You never want to see a kid get injured, right? But her getting injured and then have no issue, because I just thought she was poised for such a huge spring and summer. But the great thing about her, she had so much good high school film that she still, even though she's going to be out, she gets surgery, you want to say next week, right? Well, no. Yeah, she gets surgery next Tuesday, Wednesday. But she's still getting offers. But she just picked up a Robert Morris offer the other day because she had, prior to that injury, London was playing. She finished the season really well, and was poised for had a really good high school season. Unfortunately, got injured, but she was able to have so much good film that we're confident that she's going to still get, once the hiring season and stuff is done here in college over the next several weeks, that she'll still pick up a handful of other offers, even though she's out for the spring and summer.
Well, man, and even not only did she play well, she stamped the end of that season of a good season. She went to the NCAA Academy
and played really up. Yeah, she did, and that again, we coming off that momentum, then going into the high school season, we were all looking forward to her, that trajectory continue on the upswing. Things happen. You know what I mean? They say God's plan is perfect, right? We can't understand it, but I'm confident that she's going to, so it's not like when we were young, right? An ACL sets you back. You're never the same. Now people come back even bigger, even stronger and faster than they were pre the injury. So I'm confident that she'll be, in a year from now, she'll be back 100%, quicker, better, bigger, stronger, faster, and whatever school she ends up, that's going to get a heck of a player. What's going to happen is she's going to fall. She was borderline Power 5 kid, I thought, right? Yep. And what happens is, when they don't get to see you all spring and summer, that's probably off the table for her now. But she's going to go make some mid-major coach really, really happy next year, because they're getting a really, really talented kid.
A side note, alma mater Toledo, this is one y'all need to call.
and she's done a great job recruiting our kids. So that's somebody that they were sniffing around, last spring, summer. So I'm sure they'll be reaching back out once They get through this period here with the Final Four and all that. I expect to hear from a lot, but it's just she's going to be fine, and she's a great kid, great family. Mom's been super supportive. Since
Love her mom. Love her mom.
London's been with us, and she was in 6th grade, maybe. So I've known the mom, the dad, the whole family for a number of years. They've been super supportive. I'm really happy that this is all, because they looked at it as an investment. We're going to spend this time, these resources invested in London for that ultimate payoff, and it's coming for it. So I'm happy for them.
And I got to joke you on this one. Her high school coach, that's fraternity, John. That's fraternity, your high school coach.
No, nobody's perfect. So we'll leave it at
that. When I went out on Facebook, my man Jack had to let you know what it was.
Yeah. No, nobody's perfect, man. Jack's hard. Jack's hard on my Pittsburgh Pirates, man. I need Jack to leave the Buccos alone. They're 4-0 right now. He better show the Buccos some respect.
Hey, listen, I'm only hoping you're saying that same tune in July and August.
That's all you can hope for. Listen, here's what I'll say: they're in first place right now, and that's really all that matters. You're only as good as your record. Their record says they're in first place. That's all that matters to me.
Listen, man, and let's get back to the teams you got coming, man. When I say, yes, you got 430 teams, but sometimes we're like, oh, they got 430 teams, but there's no real good teams. Man, that's so far from the truth. You got Blue Williams coming, you got Michigan Storm coming, you got FBC coming, you got West Virginia Thunder coming. Man, I mean, that list is long of, man, and we're talking elite teams. You got Always 100 coming. Bruno's, that's my guy too. Shout out to Bruno as well.
I'm not a list or a ranking person, man. It's all subjective, right? But there was somebody did a list. I want to say it came out either yesterday or today, and it came across my feed on Twitter. The top 20 or 25 girls teams in the country, and I glanced at it, and we have 9 of them on this person's list. We have 9 of the top 20 will be in attendance at our event next week. Scott Jones is one of my really good friends. What Scott's done with West Virginia Thunder is almost, and I tease him all the time, it's borderline illegal. The amount of talent that he has, that he's put together in multiple classes, right? A lot of people can do it a year at a time, but Scott's set up for the next half decade. And we always joke he's staying involved for his grandkids. So he's building something for the long haul. Obviously, what my guy Mo's done at FBC. Obviously what Ron James has done with Takeover. Though it's an honor that when these guys can go anywhere and and have the doors open wide for them, and people trip all over them to do what they need to do to get them to come to their event. Them guys say no, man, and they pull up at my thing every year. You know what I mean? And so it's an honor. I feel pressure though, right, to make sure that they have a good experience, because they can't just play each other, right? Yeah. I got to get Michigan Storm. I got to get Team M14 out of Chicago. I got to get, Lady Push. I got to get Team Skrill. I got to get I Believe. I have to go get other really good teams for my guys, really good teams to play. You know what I mean?
Get good bump. That's what this is
about. Because here's the thing. Again, as somebody that runs a club, right, that has high level players, that and what I think what people forget, when you've got high level players, more than likely you've got educated parents. So I got a lot of friends in this thing. I can't go to all of their events though, because if it's not a great event, the parents don't care that guy's my friend, or that young lady who runs the tournament's my friend. It's got to be worth their time and treasure to go, or I get the backlash. And so I understand that, which is why I got to put on a great event because Mo's getting 40 people on an airplane from Atlanta. Scott's bringing 17 teams from West Virginia Thunder. IGB is out of Indiana. They're driving past 5 events to get here. You know what I mean? There's always an event somewhere in Indiana. There's always
Indiana, Kentucky, definitely.
They don't have to come here. Always 115 teams out of Indiana. They don't have to come. You know what I mean? Takeover, Team Thrill, Boo. They don't have to get in their cars and drive the 4 or 5 hours to Pittsburgh because of their names on their jerseys, but they do. And so we feel pressure, right, to make sure that we're putting on a first-class event that's well-run, that's going to give them and they'll give their families and their players a great experience.
And the thing that I think is so great about this, you're getting the teams to cross over, the grassroots teams to cross over and play each other because, sometimes Under Armour don't want to play EYBL. Sometimes EYBL don't want to play Adidas. Outside of now with USA Basketball at the end of the year, this is the measuring stick to see where you are before live period starts and it lets you know, hey, we need some more work or we're going to have a good year this year. This lets you know.
That's what we use it for. I can speak for my club in particular. We schedule, so the advantage you have to run here on an event, you control the schedule, right? I put my teams through the gauntlet. I need to know where we're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want you killing dead people and telling me you're a serial killer. They was dead when you got there. Okay? No, that doesn't impress me. What are you doing against somebody with a pulse?
Yeah.
And so that's why we schedule, my coaches know, and what they've impressed upon me to do is our tournament can no longer be our team's first tournament.
Yeah, because you got to be ready. Yeah.
Right. And so it's funny. I got that from Scott Johnson, who was like, man, I can't come to your tournament as the first tournament anymore when it really started to take off because if somebody's played, if another team has played a week or two in advance, they're ahead of us. Even they might not be more talented. They've played, they've practiced more. So he gets a tournament in, a week before or maybe 2. I had never done that until last year. And then we're doing it again this year with where everybody's playing this weekend and here locally. So, it's for us. We need to know where we're at. Being the best team in Pittsburgh don't mean nothing to me. It's we want to be one of the best teams nationally because when you're one of the best teams nationally, it draws attention to your players, your program, which again, like we talked about earlier today, provides opportunities, and that's just what it's about.
You got players, you got coaches. You got coaches, you got players.
Right. And you've got, and then again, which then trickles down to opportunities for the younger players who are just now coming up.
Exactly. And so some of the other teams, is Havoc and New Jersey Gems coming this year?
The Jersey Gems aren't coming. Havoc's coming. Team I'm really looking forward to seeing is Team Thrill's really good. ABL out of
AABL. Yes,
they're coming. Got to know their director, Kisa, over the last several months. She's been really good to work with. I saw their young teams play in the Winter Series. They were loaded. And hear that their 16U and 17Us are just as good. Looking forward to seeing them play. Team Brandon Wright, my guy Spencer out of Tennessee, they're always really good, always well coached. So I'm looking forward to seeing them play. Midwest Basketball Club out of the Cincinnati, Kentucky area, my guy Tiki, they're always really good. You want to talk about some young teams, the Philly Comets, always really good young teams. New York Havoc out of the upstate New York area, they're coming down. Riverside Hawks, the Fairfax Stars. So I'm really looking. I wouldn't, we'd be here all day if I sat here and told you about the matchups that I'm looking to see. But I've got some, I've got my app and I've got some games circled that I'll be, in attendance for, at least watch a few minutes of a whole bunch of different games, because I'm a basketball fan, right? You know what I mean? So I, as much as I got to run the event, there are still times that I'm going to be unavailable because there are games that I want to see.
Absolutely, and to your point, you just sent out the schedule today. I hopped on there and started circling some games myself. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'll be frank with you, right? There were games that I wanted to see, so I made them happen. You know what I mean? I want to see, good teams play good teams. I want to see teams that say they're good play good teams.
Yeah.
It's and I got to take off my competitive club director hat and put on my down the middle politically correct event operator hat and say there's the different. Elite doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. There's a capital E elite and there's just an elite, and it always is this time of year when you get to find out who what's the difference. So we're going to roll the balls out, man, in a week or so, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great time.
And just to touch real quick, man, because I know I wanted this to be the precursor to the big 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock game, so I wasn't going to keep you on that long. Yeah. Man, let's talk about what the Bruins got this year for 15, 16, and 17, man.
Man, we got some really good kids, man. Our 17U group, obviously they lose London, Creech for the spring and summer, who was poised for a really big summer. But man, you've got Iona Wade, who led the league, who led the nation in scoring in high school scoring at almost 40 a game. You got Natalie Wetzel, who's a Power 5 kid out of Peters Township. You got Sadea Jones, who's a do-everything wing out of West Virginia, who's going to really open some eyes for the people this spring and summer because she's gotten just better. We got Ava I always dog Ava's last name, Paraschetti, who's got multiple D1 offers. We've got we added a kid from Harrisburg area, Jayla Kozer, who's got multiple offers. So that team's going to be really good. Our 16U team got Michaela Palmer, Pressure Palmer out of Erie, who she made some. She really opened eyes for herself last year on the circuit. I expect her to have a really big spring and summer. Kaylee D'Angelo's a part of that group as well. So again, that group, you go to the 15U group, you got Mia Ladon, who plays at Oakland Catholic, who's poised for a really big spring and summer. So I'm really looking for our Under Armour teams to really have a really competitive summer and to really make noise to make deep runs in the championships on all three levels.
Definitely. Man, which team is Eddie coaching? Is he coaching that same team from last
year? So they were 15s last year. He's coaching the 16U group this year, and that's the group with Kaylee D'Angelo, with Michaela Palmer. We've added a kid, Ava London, from Harrisburg, a point guard who's really good. She's got multiple Division I offers. So that we're here's the thing, Western Pennsylvania well enough to know we're gonna come out and fight, right? We're not going back down. We're not going to lay down. You punch us in the mouth, we're going to punch you back, and we're going to roll the balls out. If you're better than us today, you were better than us today, but it won't ever be easy, and that's what we've hung our hat on in the 12, 15 years I've been in charge.
And I mentioned that team because that was one of the teams that caught my attention last year. When I saw Eddie's team last year, I said they're going to be good in a couple of years. They're going to be good.
And first of all, Eddie can coach his ass off, right? So let's give credit where credit's due. They got better from April to July, and as good as those players were, right? He played a big part in that, in treating them like college kids in terms of what their practices were, what their schemes were, how he wanted them to prepare. And that team, I thought, took a huge dump between April and July.
Listen, I'm excited to see that 16. That 16U team is probably going to be one of the better ones in the country, right there. That, like you said,
if they stay healthy, right? You got to get healthy. You got to stay healthy. You need a little luck, right? The ball got to bounce your way, but I expect them to be very competitive. I do. I think the addition of Ava London really helps that group. And we had another kid from South Fayette, Haley Lamont, give that improved guard play, more experience is going to really help elevate that group. I'm looking forward to seeing
them. John, and I wanted to ask this as well because, it's always about, like you said, giving back. Over these 12 to 15 years, and, I know we're getting older, and I know you can't remember everything. Just a roundabout number, how many kids have you sent to school on scholarship?
Oh, man. Let's say we averaged, we tried to figure this out. We averaged probably 8 Division I kids a year. That's an average. It's probably, the number's probably a little higher, but we've had, some years of 3 or 4. We've had some years of 14, 15. So we figured just 8 Division I kids a year, and you double that number Division II. So we're probably somewhere to 25 kids per year, maybe 25, 27 kids per year range that go to school, free or not, or mostly free. So you do that number over 15 years. It's somewhere in the 250 range, give or take.
And man, and I definitely want to say this because people need to understand the importance of this. You send kids to school on every level, like you mentioned, Division I, Division II, but you have a number of those D3s that are calling you right there in Pittsburgh. You have a number of those NAIs from the Red River Conference and from other conferences right there in the Northeast and Midwest that call you as well, because women's basketball has evolved so much that, they want a piece of the pie too.
We talk about this as internally, right? We try to get our parents to understand this. We just want your daughter to go to maximize their potential and play at their level. My daughter was a Division II basketball player, played at Cheney State University, had a great career, 1,000-point scorer, 1,000 rebounds, great career. That was her level.
That was her fit. Yes, exactly.
That's where she fit. She started every game. Great career. Okay, I've Shatori Walker Kimbrough, numbers in the rafters at Maryland. 6 is a lottery pick. That was her level. We've got everything in between. And so the challenge becomes getting parents to understand everybody's journey is different. And your daughter's journey, I don't care if her best friend's daughter's, what her best friend's daughter's journey is, it's going to be different. And you have to not get caught up playing the comparison game. I know as parents that's hard. But if you'll trust the process, we really feel like, it works out because our track record just says it does. We've had kids. We had Aaron Mathias commit to Duke as an 8th grader, right? We've had Tori Cash committed in May of her senior year and scored 1,000 points at Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. So you can't compare and contrast because it's every journey is different. You just have to focus on the controllables, which is your daughter handling her business academically? Is she putting in the individual work? Of all those things, if all those boxes are checked, eventually the collegiate box will get checked as well.
You just said something right there that not only I was going to touch anyways. John, you have those relationships with the Ivy League schools, with the high academics, the America East, the Patriot League, and even down in, and this is where I want parents to understand that anybody that's out here listening, like the high academic D2s, all the way down to the UAA schools, the Carnegie Mellons, the Case Westerns, the Wash U's. And like you said, are you handling your business in the classroom? Because we all know this ball, more than likely, when you leave high school, is going to stop bouncing after 4 or 5 years of high school, or if you're fortunate enough to go play professionally. But the whole idea of this, and I harp on this hard, is are you using basketball to take care of your business at a good school? Not just to say, oh, I went to go hoop, and then you play 4 years and don't have nothing to show for it.
Right. And so I mean, and we've been fortunate, right? You know, we typically don't have kids that have academic challenges. But, you know, what I try to explain to parents and what my coaches try to explain to these parents is if you've handled the academic piece and you're handling your basketball piece, all you've done is give yourself more options. You know, we've had young ladies turn down Division I scholarships because they wanted really, really high academic D3 things. And guess what? They went to school, it was just as free. But they wanted to be, you know, they wanted to be a doctor, so they went to Case, or they wanted to be a doctor, so they went to Johns Hopkins, or they wanted to be an engineer, so they went to they went to University of Chicago. They could have played Division I basketball, but they had but their path dictated dictated they do some different things. And because, like we talked about, they handled their business academically, they had those options. And so, you know, I would listen. I'm a parent. I understand. We want the easiest path for our children. We want, you know, everything to go their way. We want their dreams to come true. But it's really all about, you know, the thing that we preach constantly: focus on things you control, which is the academics. Are they doing the individual work? Because everybody thinks, well, she's at high school practice. She's at Bruins practice. She's at West Virginia Thunder practice. She's at Takeover practice. She's at FBC practice. Okay, oh, that's great. But guess what? That high school coach gets fired if your daughter gets better, but he don't win. His job ain't to get your daughter better.
Mm-hmm.
His job is to win games. So you know what that means? Your daughter might play out of position. She might do a whole bunch of things. But if he wins, the AD and the superintendent aren't coming to him and say, oh, yeah, you didn't get what's her name better, you're fired. No, the flip side is the case. So I don't want to hear about high school practice. That person needs individual practice. Mm-hmm. They need an hour, 3-4 times a week where the focus is on them and them alone getting better. Then on top of that, the team practice, whether that be high school or travel. So those are because that's what happens in college. In college, you have team practice and you got your
player development.
You get your individual one-on-one player development. In fact, it's no different. And so, because again, if these players get better, but the team don't win, the coach is fired. And vice versa, if the team wins and the players aren't necessarily getting better, you know, individually, the AD, the chancellor, nobody gives a damn about that. So, you know, it's really important that you focus on things you control. Academics, am I doing the things that I need to do to position my daughter, my son to get better? If those things are in check, everything else will really take care of itself. I've never seen it not happen.
That's facts right there. And I got one last question for you, you know, as we get ready for these big games tonight. What do you want your legacy to be when you leave this game, man?
Wow. Oh, man, that's tough. I love the game, Dave. I really do. And it's opened so many doors for me. It's enabled me to meet so many wonderful, wonderful people who have been just a blessing to my life. So many of my close friends I've met through this game. You know, what I want is, you know, I want my legacy to be he gave as much back to the game as he could. I know I'll never be able to pay it what it's giving me, right? But I want people to say, man, I do love the game. He gave as much as he could to it. and he gave other people opportunities for the game to impact their lives to make it better. That's really all when I think about it, that's it. And I've got only a few. I tell my staff, only got a few summers left, man. I ain't getting no younger. I don't want to be doing this, you know what I mean, in my mid and late 60s. So I got, 4 or 5 springs and summers left to give. And when I walk away, that will be it, man. This dude cared. He gave as much as he could back to the game, and he loved he loved and worked hard for the players that played in his program. That would be it.
Hey, man, brother. Let me say this, man. I know many people can say this as well, man. I'm so proud of what you've done, man. Not for just your program, what you've done for the city. You've inspired me, man. I mean, like I said, even before this, we've talked about this in the past, when you were the younger kid waiting for your time to come, you were a round ball guy, and we looked at you like, this is what we want to do, so you were leading that path, just like there was other guys before you, like Big Moon and Darren Walls and all those guys that laid the path. It was just the torch was passed, and I'm sure you're getting ready to pass that Bruins torch to somebody, and they're gonna have some big shoes to fill, man. And like I said, man, just keep doing your thing, man. And you already know you got my support anytime that phone rings.
Dave, I appreciate you, man, so much. Looking forward to seeing you next weekend, man, when you come in town for the event. I'm always here, man, when you need me, man, and looking forward to these games this evening. You need me, you call me, and I'll see you next week.
Definitely, brother. I appreciate you, man. We're going to wrap up the show. Listen, this is my guy. It's a pleasure. He's nationally known on the grassroots circuit, whether it's Adidas, Under Armour, EYBL. You mentioned the Western PA Bruins. They know because he's put in the work to build this program to where it's at now. Not only the program, but he's built this event to something I wouldn't have never dreamed Pittsburgh would ever see. And here we are. So, man, I'm gonna ride that boat as long as I can. Let me get on that Gateway Clipper, brother. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you, Dave. I'll see you soon, man.
Definitely. So that's gonna do it for tonight, man. Thank you guys for checking in as usual. You'll be able to see the recording on YouTube. You can see it on Twitter as well. And I want to thank everybody for checking out Hoops Hitting Gyms podcast. You all have a good night.